You are probably contemplating about making some type of decision. You're afraid because you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do, you don't know the outcome of this situation. But all fear is just the acknowledgement of you not being familiar with something. It's you not knowing what's going to happen. So that's why you're afraid. But the only way to combat that is by doing things, is by attacking it, is by becoming familiar with what you're afraid of. If somebody told you that all the things you were afraid of were nothing to be afraid of, or they showed you the ropes, they told you that everything would work out, you would go do it. That city you've been wanting to move to, you would move there. That job you've been wanting to apply for, you would apply for it. That person you've been obsessed over for God knows how long that you've been wanting to ask out, you would go ask them out because you know the outcome. There's comfort in knowing, and that's why you're afraid, because you don't know. But you have to overcome that. Fear is good. Fear means you care. Fear means there's a soul left inside of you that allows you to know, that you're not familiar with something. It's a way to show that you're still alive. And you have to accept that. But you can use that same fear as fuel. You can use that same fear as a fire, but you can also let that same fear burn you alive. I mentioned this before, but like the most losses I have that came from life was all about me waiting around. It was all about me being scared. All the times things slipped through my hands and opportunities slipped away from me, it was because I was afraid. And I have to live with those things every day. So now, when I have the opportunity to capitalize on something, even when I feel that fear creep up, I go anyways. I attack it anyways. Because I can't sit there with that regret. That regret hurts way worse than a rejection. The rejection says it's like, oh well, gotta start over. But that regret, it just sits with you. It makes you sticky. It's just nasty. I don't like the way it feels on my skin. So I like to live the life that, you know, prevents me from feeling like that. If I want to do something, if I want to go travel, I gotta go now. You gotta live life like you're dying, because if you don't, you're gonna die while living. You know what I mean? If you wanna put it like that. Because if you're not living, then what are you doing? You're dying. So if you become a slave to your fears and you're allowing the fact that you're not familiar with something, or the fact that you don't know that, the outcome of something, if you allow that to control your life, you're going to be a slave to fear for the rest of your existence. And that is not a way to live. You can't let your dreams stay on your pillow. You can't let the things you want in life stay inside of your head. You have to exercise those things, because that is the way to live the most fulfilling life. And that's how you should live your life. Just imagine for a second. I really cannot stress this enough. Imagine if everything that's going on in your mind, everything that you're afraid of, imagine if all those scenarios, everything went the best way. Imagine how nice that life would be. Okay? Now you grasp that idea. Now, let me alarm you. Let me inform you that there is a 0% chance that will happen if you continue to do what you're doing. You're allowing this fear to come in between you and everything you want. Everything you want is life. Everything you want in life, is on the other side of your fear. On the other side of that hard work you need to put in. Is on the other side of that discipline you need to have. And if you don't understand that, you're not going to live the best life that you can. It's all up to you. What do you do with these feelings? What do you do with these emotions? We're always going to feel scared. We're always going to feel nervous. But the thing is, you have the opportunity. You have the choice whether you act on these things, whether you give these things power. What do you choose? Think through your decisions. When you pass by that girl every day and you're like, oh, I'm going to talk to her tomorrow. I'm going to talk to her tomorrow. I'm going to talk to her tomorrow. And then next week, she with, another dude, and then you feel some type of way, that's your fault. When you sit there and contemplate about applying for this job for months at a time, and they're hiring, and then the moment you build up the courage to go apply for that job, they call you and say, man, your application was great, resume was great, but man, if you would have just called in 3 days ahead of time, you would have had this job. You were late. You are late to your own life. You are absent to your own life. because you're allowing fear. You're allowing the unknown, something you don't even know. You're allowing that to scare you. So I don't know exactly when that shift happened in me, but from that day on, and obviously I do still let fear control parts of my life. I'm not perfect, but I try to tip that scale to the heavier side, which is living life without fear. And anytime someone comes into my life and try to put their fear, and manifest it into my life, I nip it in the bud. Oh, I wouldn't leave the country now. There's war going. I don't want to hear that. I appreciate that you care for me enough to even consider that, but I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear how scary it is to move to another city and start a new life. I don't want to hear that. It's scary to you because you're stuck inside of here. That's not me. That's not me. I don't want to hear how scary it is to quit the 9 to 5 and go follow your dream. I don't care because that's what I want to do. This is my life. I'm going to live it the way I want to. I don't care what you're scared of. Your fear has put you here. I hear you complain every day about your life. I hear you complain every day about your situation. So where did fear get you? A whole bunch of regret, a whole bunch of envy, and a whole bunch of sorrow. So I just can't live like that. I've had many dreams, I've had many visions that showed me what it looked like and how I felt to live a life controlled by fear, controlled by a system, controlled by the things that they push on us. I remember I had a dream that I worked at McDonald's. I was like 48. And I worked with this old guy. He was like 70 something. And the both of us were flipping fries. He looked at me and was like, "Young man, what are you doing here?" I was like, this is what they taught me. I'm just here flipping these fries. And he was like, "Is that what you wanted to do?" And I still had that armor on me. I was like, I'm here, I'm doing the best I can. And he said, "Young man, is that what you wanted to do?" And it was like it hit me in the head. And I just got sent. I sat there and like I could see outside of myself. I just sat there holding those fries. And you could hear all the little, the little irritating McDonald. That's going off in the back. My name is getting yelled, "Shimon, we need fries. Shimon, we need fries." And I'm just sitting there. The smell of that restaurant, the cars passing by, I could hear everything. All the regret, all the videos that I could have made, all the things I could have had. Like everything was just spiraling around me. All those little voices. My dreams pulling up to the drive-thru like, "Hey buddy, we gotta leave you. You did nothing with us. Let's go to a whole nother young whippersnapper. Since you didn't do nothing with us." But that's all fear, man. So if you hear all these things, if you see all these people that have lived unfulfilling lives, and you know that fear has caused these things, how can you continue down this path? How can you continue to allow fear to run your life? A lot of us are rebellious, A lot of us have those little issues. We run into people like, "I'm not going to let anybody control my life," which is cool, by the way. But you have that rebellious spirit. But why not have that rebellious spirit and that energy towards the part of you that's trying to keep you down, that has manifested from the things you have been taught? Because no one, when you woke up, when you came out the womb, the first thing on your mind was not work a 9 to 5 and go to college and pay rent and buy a house and live on. No, somebody had to teach you those things. And my mind is so scrambled because I'm just so passionate about this, this topic and just this, so pardon my scattered brainness, but I just find it insane, man. But at the same time, I realize we once were blank canvases, and whatever paint is spilled on us is just what it is. But, I feel like once you grow up, you can buy your own paint and spill it over that canvas, even though those things are underneath that new paint. It still has a brand new identity. And after a while, that canvas essentially gets cleansed with your own identity. And you just have to live the life you want, not what anybody else wants, not what, the comfort in your mind wants. Because it's much more uncomfortable to the soul to live a life that's not fulfilling to you. To the flesh, to the mind, to the shallow earthly attachments that we have, maybe you feel uncomfortable, but your soul knows what real comfort is. Just like you do those little things in your room, or you do those little things behind closed doors that you're not so proud of, and it feels comfortable in the moment. But what happens to your soul? It gets sticky. You go to your 9 to 5 and you work that job because it's more comfortable to do that than pursue your dreams. And it feels comfortable, but your soul feels sticky. And then you go do the things that you actually want to do, and your rent might be a little late. You might be a little bit on edge, earthly. But your soul is just like, man, I could get used to living on the edge. You know what I'm saying? So don't let that fear build that wall that separates you from becoming the best version of yourself. And don't let that fear build a wall that separates you from living the life that you truly deserve. That's all I have to say for now. I'm gonna go take me a shower, make me something to eat, and call it a night. So it was nice talking to you, as always. I love you, and stop being scared.